Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Bay Area Let's Talk. Hope you've had a great day today. Around the Bay Area, we got a little bit of rain coming down. Certainly not as much as what we had last week, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't know how much more water our ground can take, especially in our mountain areas. Especially in those areas that were affected by fires. Hey, I like to get this show kicked off by taking a look and giving some shout outs to birthdays. And today we have Eric Bam. Eric Bam out of Oklahoma. He's a terrific guy. He has got a business that is tied into the food industry, pizzas. Who doesn't like a good pizza? Well, Eric Bam supplies sheets for a lot of those pizzas that are around. I believe it's sheets and boxes, but I know it's sheets for sure. And Eric Bam also has a show on Tuesday mornings, and you can look it up on Facebook or on YouTube, called The Penalty Box, with his co-host Tim Lord. And I believe there's one or two other guys that are always there. But they have an excellent show. So if you want to catch them, and if you're a hockey fan or a sports fan in general, catch them. But they also interview people in business. So just catch them, and I think you'll like them. And then the next one is Ruben Sartorius. Ruben is a contractor here in the Bay Area, up on the peninsula. He's a painting contractor, plus he also does home repairs. So check out Ruben. Check out his work on Facebook. It's amazing. Does a wonderful job. So Eric and Ruben's, happy birthday to you both. And if it's your birthday out there and I missed it, I'm very sorry. We're either not friends on Facebook or you're a little bit shy about sharing your birthday. But if it's your birthday out there, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Enjoy, guys. It is your day. All right, let's see what we got. Scott Ricard, good afternoon, Scott. Hope you are doing well. Hope you are doing well, and hope you are getting ready for a very nice evening back in Florida. It's got to be nice back there. Got to enjoy it. I'm going to assume it's 55 degrees or thereabouts, and just very, very nice. Very nice. I've been to Florida a few times. I just have really liked it, but the humidity has been a little rough on me at times. But certainly a beautiful place to be. And you're not as locked down as we are here in the Bay Area. That is for certain. And that was one of the stories that is continuing to be a story. We are still in the Santa Clara County. We are still locked down, and it's still a difficult time for a lot of people. I'm going to get to go out and get a haircut, so I'm really happy because my barbershop was able to get open. So we're going to try and sneak in there tonight. They're going to fit me in somewhere along the line. But let's see what else we've got here. I want to talk about real quickly, the companies that we use and have helped us along the way over this last 10 months to try and not be too stir crazy. And that is Grow Live Academy. That is a Ken Walls company. StreamYard.com, which is the company that we are using to broadcast through. And then Hippo Video. It's one of the ways I'm keeping in touch with my clients. And they are all great systems. So if you have any interest in being part of a live stream, I would check out Grow Live Academy. It's one of the best systems around. And Ken Walls, I'll tell you what, our Thursday night classes, they're 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific Coast. We have had some of the best teachers in the country. Best teachers in the world. So check it out if you have any interest just buying it for the Thursday night class is well worth the money. But you also want to learn how to use these systems. Let's take one more quick look. 55 now, 33 degrees tonight. Scott, we're still at 55 is nice. Let's see what we are. I can't tell. We are at 58 degrees right now, but it will get down probably into the mid 30s, mid to upper 30s tonight. I don't know if I can do that anymore. Luckily, I'm not in the doghouse very often anymore, so I don't have to deal with that. I just don't have to deal with it. Okay, let's get down here. There were some things that we wanted to cover. If you would like to reach out to me, again, this is Charles Coachman, and you can reach me at 408-439-0766 by call or text. And if you'd like to reach me by email, you can send me an email to bayarea.letstalk@gmail.com. bayarea.letstalk@gmail.com, or reach out to me on one of our Facebook pages. Would be glad to talk. Would be glad to talk to you. And so I have been looking at some of the news that's going around the Bay Area. And one of the things I mentioned very, very quickly was that here we are. The Bay Area is still caught up in basically the state's heaviest color code for lockdown and COVID. So we're trying to get past this, but we here are still seeing a lot of hospitalizations and a lot of people being infected with COVID. Nobody's getting the flu. Everybody's just got COVID. So I don't know, I'm a little curious about that. But here we are, we're in, I believe it's our 10th month or 11th month now of lockdown. And we're still trying to figure out how to handle it in the South Bay, in the technology center of the world. We can't figure out how to handle this. But one of the main things is keeping people locked down if they can. They're letting us go out to restaurants now, sitting outside. California, it's the dead of winter, but 40 degrees at dinner time is not a real delight for a lot of people. Of course, we are not in New York City and 2 feet of snow or something like that, but we are still getting a bit of a shellacking. I don't know if and when they're going to open up for indoor dining. I'm hoping that it's soon, because we've got a lot of restaurants in the Bay Area, and we are saying goodbye to an awful lot of them. Saying goodbye to an awful lot of them, and that's just a shame. Hey, one of the things that's big time in the news right now is Jeff Bezos has stepped down as Amazon CEO. I had not heard that was going to be happening. So I am surprised. I'd like to know what you think. This guy, which started out as a small-time business, small-time bookseller, grew his business into one of the biggest in the world. And now he's walking away, or at least stepping down as CEO. I am certain that he will play a part in this business. But Jeff Bezos stepping down as Amazon CEO. Huge, huge news. And let's see, one of the other top stories in California and in the Bay Area, because Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco. And now he's our governor. But his recall has sparked a big fire. And his handling of COVID and his handling of the lockdowns. And then stepping out on against his own rules has really cost him in California and the voters' trust. There are approximately 1.5 million, I believe the number is actually closer to 1.3 million signatures on the recall count right now. And I believe there's just got to be another 200,000 signatures or less that need to be taken. And Governor Newsom will find himself being ready for recall. Now, the last time we had a recall was 20 or so years ago. Excuse me. 20 or so years ago, and it brought in the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and some thought he did a good job. I saw that he put some things in place that were good for the state. And then, of course, we had his little mess ups too along the way. And his governorship blew up in the end with personal scandal, unfortunately. And I don't know. I think that probably the way to handle this would just be to wait until Newsom is up for re-election and get him out. Recall adds more and more tension to the state, and we really need to try and figure this out and get our state together. But quite possibly Newsom's not the right leader to do it with. And I am not certain how we're going to handle it. Not certain how people are going to handle it. Not certain how our state's going to handle a switch. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat. We here in the Bay Area, it's almost completely blue. Completely blue. It's as blue as this shirt. But we do have a few more Republicans in our state legislature now, but not enough to make a big difference. So it's still, if we were able to put a Republican governor in there, he's still going to have to deal with the legislature. He is not able to do what the president's able to do and sign executive orders wiping out laws and overriding a bunch of stuff. But maybe it is time for a change. I'm just not, I wasn't for the change when they brought the governor in. It was a big hullabaloo because here he was, this big Hollywood star and a conservative and somebody that would go out and do things. Well, I don't think he legislated that well. He did make a few changes and cut back on some taxes, but he had his own things that we had to deal with. And Newsom has been handed an awful lot, and it might just be time to remove him. It might be, but I much rather prefer going through the ballot, and let's see what happens. Now, I'm in the real estate business. I'm a real estate salesman, and I was surprised. I came across this article today, and they were talking about places that you could affordably live in San Jose within 60 miles of San Francisco, places that you could affordably live. They put Vallejo and San Pablo in there. Okay, I can agree with that. Then they've got Concord, San Jose, Alameda, Dublin, and Walnut Creek. What? Those are affordable places for people to live? A one-bedroom apartment runs you $2,000 a month, and those are affordable? I think we forgot about some of the cities like Antioch, some of those cities that are a little bit further out but I believe that Antioch is within 55 miles of San Francisco, and Pittsburgh would certainly be. And they are much, much less expensive places to live in than San Jose, Alameda, Dublin, or Walnut Creek, or even Concord. So I think whoever wrote this article didn't take a look to find out exactly what was going on in these other outer cities. I mean, I do not see $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment as being affordable. And it certainly does not say anything good about what's happening with Bay Area housing. Now, rents may be coming down because there are people leaving the area, but we still have a lot of people that want to come in and a lot of people that want to live here. So that's one of the things that we always have to pay attention to. Always have to pay attention to. One of the things that we've been looking at the last couple of days, we've had a couple of murders over in San Francisco. One, a guy was jumped, and he was a fairly well-known person to people in the San Francisco area. He was worked as a private investigator, and I don't have his name with me, but two guys jumped him, and he was an elderly guy. I shouldn't say elderly. He was 78 years old. He is an older man, and two guys jumped him, tried to steal his camera. Well, the man held on to his camera and apparently got dragged along on a vehicle and hit his head, and 2 days later died. For a camera. For a stinking camera. You could probably take just as good of photos with your phone. Very much a shame. And then there was another man, a man that I believe had come from Taiwan to help his daughter and son-in-law take care of their children right now. And a guy came over and just shoved him to the ground. He actually did like a football block on him, knocking him to the ground very hard. And he died from his injuries. What is going on with people? This one, they are saying that it may be race related. But you know what? The San Francisco Bay Area is one of the most tolerant places in the world. May be the most tolerant places in the world. And you still have people that are messed up in the head. You still have people messed up in the head. Oakland has started off with many deaths this year. It's just sad. Now, those are probably a lot of them drug related. It's a terrible thing to see, and it's not anything that we need in the Bay Area. We don't need it anywhere. But we had turned the corner on a lot of this stuff, and now it seems like we're going back up. So we've got to think about what we're doing. We've got to think about what we're leaving our children behind with. And not only is it elderly people that are getting killed, we're seeing teenagers being shot. We're seeing young 20-year-olds. We're seeing, babies. It's terrible. We have to do something about that. And that's changing our culture. One of the things that's there's no headlines about. These are not police-involved shootings. These are not police-involved killings. But still, even with this going on, we want to defund the police. We need to really think about what we're talking about. We need to understand what's going on in the Bay Area. We need to understand what's going on throughout the country. We just saw that Minneapolis has decided to completely do away with their police department. Has completely decided to get rid of their police department. They're going to redo it. Not defund, got rid of. And they're going to reimagine their force. Well, from the summer, they have had nothing but a crime spree in Minneapolis. Imagine being a citizen of Minneapolis and feeling like, you know what? Maybe I am living in a foreign land because this isn't the city that I grew up in. We need to make changes, and it's personal changes. So I hope in Minneapolis, they come and face the facts that they are not going to be able to make it without a police department. We've seen it happen through Portland. We've seen it happen through Seattle. We've seen it go crazy this summer in Washington, D.C. But of course, they didn't call in the National Guard for that. They didn't want the National Guard there, and they did come in and were booted out immediately. So we got to think about that. We have to really think about the way our country is going. And it's up to everyone to do that. Hey, one of the other topics I wanted to talk about was books based on the Bay Area. What are people's favorite books on sports and rock music in the Bay Area or jazz? What are your favorite books on there? And so maybe it's time that we think about some of that. One of the authors that I would like to speak with is Ben Fong Torres, who was part of Rolling Stone magazine for years and years. And he's written his own books. And so I would really like to talk with him and hear more about what's going on around the Bay Area. What's going on around the Bay Area in sports and rock music? What are the best books? Now, I've got a book that was letters to Dwight Clark. I've got a book that is all about the A's in the 70s, and it covers their whole history, but especially during the 70s when they were so great, when they won three championship row, 3 World Series championships in a row. They were in the AL title or championship 5 years in a row and made it 3 of those 5 and won each of those series. I've also got books by Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana, Bill Walsh, and some about the great teams of the Niners. I don't have anything on the Silver and Black. I don't know why. And I don't have anything on the Giants. Maybe I do, and I've just forgotten about them. But that's one of the things that I want to take a look at, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about, which is leading us into music. Music. This Day in Rock. Born on this day in 1942, Graham Nash. Graham Nash, who got his real start with the Hollies. And then he went on to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And then occasionally Young. So Graham Nash, happy birthday to you. Born on this date, Peter Macbeth of the Foundations. You may remember him for a couple of songs, Baby Now That I Found You, but certainly Build Me Up Buttercup. Born on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1945, Ronnie Goodson, John Fred, and his Playboy band. They had a song. So Ronnie Goodson was part of the John Fred and the Playboy band. They had a song called Judy in Disguise. Judy in Disguise. 1946, Howard Bellamy of the Bellamy Brothers. 1976, they had a hit record called Let Your Love Flow. And then in 1979, they had a song that they may not be able to release today. It's called If I Said You Had a Beautiful Body, Would You Hold It Against Me? If I Said You Had a Beautiful Body. Just looking at some of the notes. Born on this day, Ross Valory. Ross Valory, born in 1949. He played in the Steve Miller Band, but around here he is more known for taking part in Journey. This date in 1963, the Beatles played at Gaumont Cinema in Bradford. This was the first time that they had actually went on tour. So they were doing their first national tour of the UK. The 1966, the Rolling Stones released 19th Nervous Breakdown. 19th Nervous Breakdown. It went to number 2 on the UK charts. In 1967, on this date, Jimi Hendrix played at the, he played on Top of the Pops, and he performed Purple Haze. They were also talking about in 1970 where he played Isle of Wight Festival. And that would have been the last festivals he would have played before his demise. Unfortunately, we lost a great guitarist there. This date in 1969, didn't know anything about this, but Yoko Ono divorced her first husband, Tony Cox, so she could go on to marry John Lennon. 1974, on this date, the Carpenters had a 4-week run at number 1, the Carpenters. And it was with their album called The Singles, 1969 through 73. And we know all the great hits from the Carpenters. That Karen Carpenter had the voice of an angel. And I mean, I love all sorts of music. I love the Carpenters, and Karen Carpenter. One of the saddest days ever is when she passed away, and when you heard it, and I just going, how did that happen? But we've learned a lot since then. Hey, born on this date in 1977, the little hip shaker herself, Shakira. Shakira was born in 1977. Had no idea that she was born in 1977. I was thinking she was a 1980s kid, but a little bit before. On this date in 1978, Van Halen releases their first album. I got to see Van Halen at the Oakland Coliseum Arena. They opened for Black Sabbath. That was a crazy night. I believe, how old was I? I was 18, 19 years old. A pretty wild evening, as I recall. On this date in 1979, Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols dies. He died of a heroin overdose. He was supplied the heroin by his mother. Supplied by his mother. He had just gotten out of jail, and his mother went and got him heroin. Well done, Mom. Well played. 1981 on this date. This is one of my wife's favorite groups. REO Speedwagon's 10th album Don't Let Him Go, Keep On Loving You, and Follow My Heart, In Your Letter. That was one of my wife's favorite ones. I had another group that I liked, and that was Toto. On this date in 1983, they released the album Africa, or released an album with Africa on it. They also had a recording of the year, Rosanna, which was about Rosanna Arquette. I thought that came before that, but maybe my rock mind is missing part of it. Oh, Sting scored his second #1 album in 1991. In 1992, one of my favorite musicians of all time, Todd Rundgren, who is just a fabulous musician. He is along the lines of what Prince was. He could play every instrument. He's recorded albums where he played every instrument and then had a band come in and do it. But he and his wife had a son in San Francisco. They named the child Rebop. This date in 1993, Willie Nelson settles his IRS debt after a long-standing feud. The government keeps $3.6 million of Willie's hard-earned money. And I'm certain Willie went out and rolled a big fat one after that. Rolled a big fat one. Songwriter Hal Blair dies at his home in 2001. On this date in 2001, Ted Nugent had been given the key to the city, and then the city took it back because people complained about his controversial views. Nothing has changed. Ted, you're never getting that key. Nothing has changed. Let's take one look. Oh my goodness. 2005, Michael Jackson was in one of those molestation trials. Enough. 2006, Bon Jovi guitarist Richie Sambora and Heather Locklear announced they are splitting after 11 years. They just couldn't do it. And sadly, in 2008, the Spice Girls cut their world tour short. They had family and personal commitments. That is all for this day in rock. It'll be time to rock later on. I'll have to play some music later on and see what's going on. Well, I'm going to say good morning or good late evening to Frank now. And that is an Anivu, Bruce. That is an Anivu. That's one I've got both sides on it. So I've got this side with this on it, and then I have my real estate business on the other side. So yeah, and then I turn them around if I need to do it where I don't want any writing. I flip them upside down, so I don't have any writing, because this paneling behind me looks good like that. At least I think it does. It's not perfect, but you know what? For the price, it was really good, and I don't have enough room in this bedroom to set up lights, so to set up different lighting, or else I would be a puddle of sweat, I'm afraid. I would be glowing heavily, maybe. I saw Van Halen in Pittsburgh, 1979. I was 14. Well, I was a few years older. I suppose I'm still a few years older. And it was one of the best concerts, and I'll always remember it because I went with my cousin, my sister, and a couple of other friends, and my cousin locked his keys in the car. And so we watched the whole parking lot empty out, and then waited for my uncle to drive from Antioch, which was 35, 40 miles away. And we were in no condition for my uncle to show up to give us the keys, but it helped us clean our act up a little bit. Well, this is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to share this out, we'd certainly appreciate it. We are going to have some more small businesses on here to talk fairly soon. We're going to have Jamie Green, the Solar Queen, coming up real soon. I look forward to having more people on so that we can talk about things that are happening in the Bay Area and businesses that need help in the Bay Area. We want to help wherever we can, and we enjoy it. I've lived in the Bay Area my whole life, and I think I know quite a bit about it, but we'll see. Anyway, I love it, but I kind of feel like a man on a desert island here, on a bit of a desert island. Scott, have a great evening. Thank you for tuning in, and you all have a wonderful evening. And let's call it a night, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Peace. God bless. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.